whether it's in Burkina Faso, whether it's in China. Every business entity functions within multiple dynamic and ever-changing contexts. And these contexts can be immediate competitive environment, which is characterized by your suppliers, your customers, and your competitors. We also have the macro environment, which is fundamentally your political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal aspects and variables. And these impact on any business whatsoever. Whether you are doing chickens, whether you are doing technology, whether you are doing gas, whether you are doing forex. But one exciting thing is that these variables, these macro variables that I've just highlighted, they have differential impact on your business depending on what you are doing. What I mean by that is, if you are a technology business, you are bound to be affected significantly by changes that are happening in the technological space. All the changes that are happening in the technology space will have an amazing, a substantial impact on your business and on your operations, as opposed to other variables like weather patterns and so forth. The environmental factors and variables are highly likely to affect people that are in the business of agriculture, for example, things like climate change. And we have things like the changes that are happening in the economic space in any country. They have an impact on, a very high and significant impact on what will be happening in the financial services sector, for instance. But I'm not saying these other industries are not affected by all these other variables, but I'm saying the magnitude of impact differs depending on whatever industry you find yourself in. I hope you get the sense. I hope it's so there are differing levels of impact that will affect any business depending on what business you're doing. If you are in the business of chickens, for example, chicken rearing, if there's a disease, an outbreak in Malawi that's coming to Zimbabwe, you are not affected by technology more as a variable, but you are affected by that disease that's coming here in Zimbabwe. So that becomes a factor that actually impacts on you, and you gotta have strategies of managing that kind of risk that comes on you. But tell you what, every business, either small, either big, is affected by many variables that are outside the business. Now, strategists, they have what they call the internal strategic context. By this, they mean those internal aspects and variables that you find within the organization. They also have what they call external strategic context. Here, they're talking about these variables that I've been talking about and highlighting. So, there are now strategies that you can then apply and implement depending on what business and what level of business you're running. Because if you are changing money in the street, I mean, that could be a business, maybe somebody's running it. The sort of risk management strategy that you can adopt in hedging yourself against some of the volatilities and vagaries of the economy could be different in terms of the degree of formalization as compared to a bank, for example. A bank would be more well suited to follow structured and formal ways of managing risk and hedging itself against some of the volatilities that could be prevailing in the macroeconomic environment. So the person who will be selling money in First Street may not talk about hedging. I hope you get what I'm talking about. But he could also have other strategies that he could employ, which could work at that particular level. So what you do is going to be a function of your size in terms of managing the different risks that you can possibly get. Because I've given two examples of people that are doing business, because business it can be micro business, It can be a conglomerate, because the whole concept of business is having more income than expenses for any particular trade period, and also being able to grow your equity. That's the whole idea of business. And to increase your earnings and so forth, to grow your portfolio and all that. So